Freshman. Ninth.
Freshman. Okay. And this is the last day of school, or is there one more day?
Well.
But nobody. Oh, today's Wednesday.
Yeah.
So there's 2 more days. Okay. At your age, there's no way I would stay after school on the last week of school to listen to some dude talk. Doesn't matter what the topic was. There's no way I stayed. So.
That's what we're doing.
You are 4 strange kids.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm gonna complete the task Reagan assigned me, okay? And I'll start by stating that there's a cliche.
What's a cliche?
Cliche is a phrase that people repeat often. And it's all's well that ends well, okay? I don't believe that cliche is true. The phrase should be stated like this. Just because it ended well doesn't mean it was done well. All's well that ends well means something turned out right. You know, lots of chaos happens. Something turns out right despite all the chaos. And we conclude, oh well, all's well that ends well. As long as it ended right, doesn't matter what happened. But that thinking allows you to retain all of the stupid things you did that caused all the chaos. As long as it accidentally ended well, oh well. All's well that ends well. My life has ended well. But it wasn't done well. Okay? And if I tell myself, all's well that ends well, then I risk repeating all of the stupid things I did that created so much extra work for me. And so I'm going to tell you a story, half of a story, that pays close attention to inarguably the dumbest decision I ever made. I grew up in a neighborhood called Frogtown. Down the hill from Dodger Stadium. It was named after the gang that ran the streets. And in my neighborhood in the early 80s, it was the peak of, approaching the peak of the crime wave in the United States. And every square block was owned by some gang. Frogtown owned mine. And I grew up in a decent enough house. I knew what was right and what was wrong. When I was in the 2nd grade, I discovered that I had a proclivity for math. I could figure out math really quickly. The teacher gave us our math textbook, and these were things where we did the math and we tore out the page and turned it in. I finished the textbook long before the year ended, and so she pulled another textbook out and handed it to me. I finished that one long before the year ended. I didn't even need to be told really. You just give me the slightest nudge in the direction of what the equation needed me to do, and I would just figure out the rest. After I finished the 2nd math book, she just said, during math, just help the other kids. 3rd grade, same thing. You just slightly explain what's going on in my mind, just absorbs math. In the 4th grade, there weren't enough 4th grade teachers in my school, so they took all of the smart kids, all of the smart 3rd graders, and they made them go to the 5th grade. I had 3 friends that I'd been in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade with. David, Nguyen, and Jose. David was our leader. We were very tight. But in the 4th grade, we got separated. I went into a 5th grade class. David, Nguyen, and Jose stayed in the 4th grade class. And in my school, if you weren't in somebody's class, your paths rarely ever crossed. In the cafeteria, you sat at a specific table and you didn't mix. And the teachers were there to make sure every class stayed at their table. Finished lunch, you go to the playground, you went to your specific area of the playground, and the monitor made sure every class stayed in their area. So though David, Nguyen, and Jose were my closest friends, in the 4th grade, we rarely ever saw each other. So one day, I'm in the bathroom washing my hands. David walks in, and he says, hey, Doug, are you doing your homework? And I said, of course I'm doing my homework. And David says, no, you gotta stop. We don't do our homework anymore. Homework is for schoolboys. Schoolboys being an insult, like a nerd. And I was like, okay, fine. Then I went my separate way. And what had happened was, in my neighborhood, there's a gravitational pull. It doesn't suck everybody in, but it sucks a minority, but a significant minority of the kids into gang activity. And at the peak of the hierarchy in my schools, junior high and high school, these little systems we set up at the peak of that, especially in junior high, were gang members. They were the most esteemed, the coolest. And at age 9, David had committed himself to a life of crime. And what's the first step David took in this life of crime? And Nguyen and Jose followed suit. Stop doing your homework. And I ran into him maybe twice, 2 or 3 times. Each time David asked me, Doug, did you do your homework? Are you doing your homework? Yes, I'm doing your homework. And he would plead with me, no, we're not doing that anymore. We're stopping. Not like a bully. He was more proselytizing me, trying to show me the true way. In the 5th grade, we get back together. Okay? And in the 5th grade, David, Nguyen, and Jose, and I'm included because we're all best friends, we are to start, not only do we not do our homework, and we really don't have to anymore because there's a Russian girl in our class who's really good at math, and she's brand new to America and is thrilled to share her math homework with other kids. So Makdad does the math homework, David, Nguyen, and Jose copy and get A's, okay? So step 1, stop doing your homework. Step 2, they're gonna start ditching school. We don't say sloughing in LA, ditching is the term. And writing on walls. Now, I didn't ditch school, I didn't write on walls, but I was still included because these were my friends and they were kind to me. But all the time trying to show me the truth. Don't do your homework. But I couldn't not do my homework. It was so easy. The time I would expend copying Makdad's assignment, I could pretty much do the assignment myself. So David, Nguyen, and Jose knew I was never going to write on walls. I wasn't going to ditch, but I was still included. They even gave me a name for the little gang. Brainy was my gang name. One day, me, David, and Jose are at school early, and we're playing in the kindergarten playground. So it's the 5th grade, I'm 10 years old. The bell rings for us to go to class, and we're walking out of the playground, and we get to the very end of it, and we're about to climb through the bars. And David says, Doug, did you do your math homework? And I thought about it. Oh my goodness, I hadn't done my homework. And I'd never not done my homework. I never had homework, I just did it in class. But that day, for whatever reason, I didn't do it. And I tell him I did it. And he's ecstatic. He pulls out his assignment out of his backpack, which he had copied off of Makdad. And he says, you can copy off of mine. And I can remember my back is to the bar. David is standing in front of me. Jose is behind him. David's got his homework assignment, handing it to me. And what do I do? What's your name? Dallin. What do I do?
Accepted.
I accepted it. I copied. I didn't have to. I could have finished the assignment on my own and just turned it in. But for whatever reason, I set it down on the pavement and I looked at the answers and just filled out my paper. And then some weird thing happened, which I don't know why. But a flip switched in my brain. Whereas before, no matter how many times they said, Doug, copy. No, I wasn't going to copy. After I did copy, I never did my math homework again. The next day, I copied off of David, who copied off of Makdad. And every single day thereafter. In the 5th grade, I finished the 5th grade. From that morning on, never doing my math homework again. Now, no big deal. My math brain was ahead of everybody else's brain. So no consequences, right? The rest of the world is just barely catching up to me. I continue the pattern in the 6th grade. And I can remember in the 6th grade, the teachers would take the smart math kids and they'd go to a table and everybody else would do something else. And we'd do more advanced math. And Miss Caskey says, today I'm going to teach you this long division complicated thing. She says that, and I think I can still quote myself. She says what we're going to learn, and I say, I'm not. I'm going to copy off of Makdad. And I sit there and think about pizza or baseball or who knows what. But I don't pay any attention to what she's saying because I don't have to. I'm just going to get the assignment, the answers from Makdad, fill out my paper, and turn it in. Okay. As we leave, I'm pretty sure this was my final report card in the 6th grade. Next to math, there's the letter B. We still did A, B, C, D, F back in the day. And I saw that I got a B in math. And I remember thinking, I'm in elementary school thinking, that's so weird. A B? I got a B in math. But whatever. Going to the 7th grade. In the 7th grade, I sat next to Steve Corrigan, who I never call Steve anymore because he's a police officer. I call him Officer Corrigan. We sat in the back of the class, Mr. Herman's pre-algebra class. Now, at this point, pre-algebra math has caught up to me and surpassed me. Okay, I haven't thought or done math since the early part of the 5th grade, and I'm in pre-algebra, and I don't exactly know what's going on. So tests come around and I try. Officer Corrigan goes to church with me. So I can't cheat off of Officer Corrigan because he knows the rules, right? So I sit there and I try to turn my head just a little bit and I slam my pupil against the right side of my head and I try to see what numbers he's putting on his math test. And I spend like the first third of pre-algebra just trying to cheat off of Officer Corrigan without him seeing me. Then one day I'm doing that, taking another test. I have no idea what's on this test, what's happening. And I decide finally, you know what? I need to take my F's like a man. If I didn't figure it out, I just need to take an F and not try to cheat off of Officer Corrigan. So I do that. I stopped cheating in the 7th grade. But the problem is...
Sydney and Quinn Egnan, can you please come to the main office? Sydney and Acton to the main office, please.
Okay, no Sydney or Acton in here, right? Okay. The problem is, though I stopped cheating, I had become totally indifferent. Indifferent to school, to trying, to succeeding, whatever. I was as lazy as a bum. I had enough brains to do well when they spoke English in class, and so I could get a C average and not do anything. But if you talked math to me, it was very difficult. In the 8th grade, they sent me to pre-algebra. I'm in the pre-algebra class, and she is talking Arabic. I have no idea what is going on in that class. I last like 2 or 3 weeks. And I go to the counselor, say, get me out of that class, send me to remedial math. They send me to remedial math at Irving Junior High in Los Angeles, California at the late 80s, early 90s. Remedial math was where all the future felons of Los Angeles lived. It was just chaos. It was babysitting. So 8th grade, I'm not learning any math. 9th grade, same thing. It's just chaos. Remedial math, in my schools, it's babysitting. 10th grade is my last year of math. I finish. I don't have to do any more math. I'm in my senior year, the junior year of high school, the last week of the junior year of high school. And my teacher is trying to get people to go to academic decathlon. Academic decathlon is a competition where you learn 10 subjects, okay? And you compete against everybody in your city, in the state, and the nation. And you have to have 3 A students, 3 B students, 3 C students. You can get, if you're the academic decathlon coach, you can find A students who want to study 10 subjects. And you can find B students who want to do that. But it's really hard to find C students. So my teacher is making this pitch: C students, please try out for the academic decathlon team. Now, I had been comatose since the 5th grade, just asleep. I didn't care about school. I didn't care about anything, really. I liked to play basketball after school. And that's about it. And I didn't get in trouble, but totally comatose. My teacher's talking about academic decathlon, and I realize I am 1 year away from adulthood. I'm gonna be an adult next year, and I have no marketable skills. I'm a lazy bum who does nothing. And I decided I better join that academic decathlon team. I got scared all of the sudden because I don't come from a family of successful individuals. Go right ahead. It's not like surrounding me are CEOs and people doing well. And as a little kid, I decided I have to do my homework. At like age 7, I saw some dudes working on the streets in Los Angeles in the middle of the summer pouring hot tar. And I thought, if I don't do my homework, I'm gonna end up pouring tar on LA city streets. If you gotta go, don't worry about it. Anybody who's gotta go.
I'll just need to know what time it is.
I'll be done in 10 minutes.
Like 10 minutes.
So, in junior year of high school, I realized I've become the dude that I was terrified of becoming at age 7. I've become someone who will be lucky to get a job pouring tar on a street. So I joined academic decathlon. We win the city, we win the state, we win the nation. And I learned how to work harder and pay attention, and I'm awake finally, but not in time to get into any college. I have a 2.7 GPA. I've got a 19 ACT score. Anyways, I go to a community college. Then I go to Columbia on my mission for 2 years. Come back. I marry a woman who wants me to apply to BYU. I know I'm not going to get into BYU. I actually submitted an application before I went on my mission, but they denied me, as they rightfully should have. I was an academic mediocrity. So I send off an application to BYU. There's only one essay prompt. I write a 4-sentence essay with my 19 ACT score, my 2.7 GPA, and they let me in for some reason. So I'm into BYU. But I'm into BYU with less than a 4th grade math education, because now my brain has rotted. Where once I could have just absorbed math concepts with ease. Now I am 22 years old, and I don't even remember all of my multiplication tables. I certainly can't do long division. But I want to get into the business school at BYU. I want to do their accounting program because it's esteemed. Why do I want to do this? Because I come from a family where nobody's esteemed. And so I want to do the opposite of what my siblings are doing, mostly. And so I try to get into business school, but I can't. Because I have no idea what numbers mean and how they work. So I'm spending $300 a month on tutors, and I'm making, maybe $500 a month. $200 to $300 a month of that is going to tutors, so that I can barely scrape something by. The business school doesn't let me in once. They don't let me in twice. Now I'm 2.5 years into college. I've got a wife and a kid, and I'm raising my teenage daughter. Not my teenage daughter, my teenage sister. Okay? Lots going on. This beautiful woman decided to marry me when she could have married dudes who were driving Ferraris when she was dating them. but for some unfortunate reason, she chose me. And I decided to get an econ degree because I know the business school will not let me in. And if you do an econ degree, if you never take a break, you can finish it in a year and a half. That would mean I was at college for 4 years. That would mean I wasn't a loser. I was chasing that, not being a loser. But math, the Econ 101, the first econ degree, which I took and I did well in, that's taught in English at BYU. But the rest of the courses are taught in calculus. So it was a terrible decision, but it got me out of school in 4 years, and so I plowed through it. I was twice put on academic probation, and the second time I was told, if you get another C-, we're going to kick you out of school for a year. Miraculously, I didn't. I didn't get a C-. I got the C, and I got to graduate. Now I have an econ degree from Brigham Young University. An econ degree is useful, but in general, it may be one of the few degrees where wherever you want to take that degree to go get a job, they ask you, what's your GPA? I don't know that they do that in any other major, but the econ degree, they ask you, what's your GPA? And mine was terrible. There was no point even discussing it. And so I graduated with this useless piece of paper, okay? I have a wife. We're broke. We're in debt. I have a son. Actually my sister, by the time I graduated, had moved out. And the one prayer I had in college, God, please, no sales jobs. Don't give me a sales job. Anything but a sales job, God. So I graduate and I try to get a job, and no one will hire me. No one will even give me an interview. Not alone do I not get hired, I can't get anybody to interview me. So I finally decide what I'll do is I'll work the night shift at a grocery store. I'll work the graveyard shift, I'll stock shelves in the middle of the night, and then in the day, I'll work for free for somebody. Because somebody will employ me if I can work if I promise not to charge them, right? So I begin the application process at supermarkets from Payson to Pleasant Grove, and no one will hire me. I have my degree. I can't get hired at a grocery store to stock cans of soup in the middle of the night. The only place I can get a job is at a insurance office, selling, it first was mortgages, then insurance. So I graduate with my degree. All of that suffering. The first job I get, I have a stack of papers this thick with people to call and to try to sell them something in this crappy office with the cell phone that I just bought, my first cell phone. And I start making those phone calls, and it is miserable. And what did you say your name was?
Dallin.
Dallin. How do I end up in the office selling for a living after I graduated from college? How did I get there? Why did I end up in that nightmare?
Kind of because you didn't help yourself to succeed earlier on, so you kind of got stuck with something that wasn't the best for you in your area.
Because when I was 10 years old, I was just a little kid. When I was 10 years old, David said, hey, do you want to cheat? And I said, yes. If you'd come up to the 10-year-old me and you said, hey, Doug, you're going to have a wife someday and a child, and you're going to need to pay rent, and you need to feed that wife and that child. That 10-year-old Doug he doesn't understand what wife means, what rent is, how much bread costs. There's no way to get the 10-year-old to pay attention to the needs of the 25-year-old or the 24-year-old Doug. He's too dumb. So I made a decision when I was 10, if I could unmake that. You have no idea how many times as a 25, 26, 27, even after I started in it and I survived, how many times I wanted to wrap my hands around the neck of that 10-year-old and slap him upside the head. Say, no, just don't copy. If I just don't copy that assignment and I keep doing math, my brain does what it always does. I'm in pre-algebra, finishing the textbook before everybody else does. I'm in algebra, I'm in all those things. I get into whatever I want to get into. Business school is a breeze. I don't pay a tutor to teach me calculus. The only reason I paid a tutor to teach me calculus is because of that 10-year-old. So, you were all making decisions. How old are you?
15.
15, okay. I promise you, 15-year-old you can't see far enough down the road to understand how important your decisions are right now. You don't have enough foresight. I know you think you do. You all think you do. I thought I did. But you don't. So, let me give you a piece of advice to 15-year-old you so that you protect 26-year-old, 46-year-old you, okay? Just 2 pieces of advice and then I'm out of your hair. If it's not true, don't say it, okay? Miss Caskey took that piece of paper and I said, implicitly, I implied, Miss Caskey, this is my work. I did this. That was what I was telling her, okay? But that was a lie. If it is not true, don't say it, okay? And if it is not yours, don't take it. Those answers on those math tests, those were not my answers. Those were MockDot's answers. And I took them as if they were mine, and then I lied to the authority to whom I submitted the answers. If I just keep those 2 rules, my options stay wide open. But I ignored those 2 rules, and all kinds of options slammed shut on me. And I was stuck, not with what I wanted, but with the worst possible outcome for me. Because I was a fool, and I ignored those 2 rules. So, you guys want to go into business maybe? Fine. You're going to get tons of options as businessmen. And there are no girls in here, just in case everybody thinks somebody. Well, there are no students. There are no female students here, so I'm not talking to the adults. You guys are going to become businessmen possibly someday, and you're going to get tons of opportunities to say things that are not true, to take things that are not yours. They'll pop up all around you, okay? If you ignore me, you will face the consequences of taking what isn't yours and saying what isn't true. It will come back to you, okay? And with that, I leave you all to go out and enjoy the rest of your day. I salute you for staying at school. I would have never done this at your age. The end.